So you're lying on your bed scrolling through your social media feed like you do every night after work. Suddenly you receive a text from your friend, "Bro, I'm bored. Let's go to Goa." Excited at the possibility of escaping boredom for a few days, you reply, "Yes, bro," and start checking your bank balance. Whether the trip ends up happening or not is a different story. But have you ever wondered why is it always Goa? How come it's rarely, "Let's plan a Mysore trip or a Bangalore trip"? You might be thinking, but Bangalore doesn't have beaches. But then again, many Indian states, cities and towns have beaches. How come it's Goa that ended up becoming the go-to destination for partying in India? The Portuguese. In order to understand how the tourism industry began in Goa, we need to go back a few hundred years in history, specifically the year 1510. This was the year in which the Portuguese took control over Goa. This event would start a 450-year period of Portuguese rule over Goa. Soon after they took control over Goa, the Portuguese turned it into their main military, cultural, and commercial hub in Asia. Seeing missionaries, merchants, sailors, and even slaves from different parts of the world became a normal thing for the locals. Not to mention mixed marriages between colonialists and locals were common. This is important. It's because of this era in history that the locals got familiar with seeing people from outside and dealing with them in their daily lives. In fact, even to this day, Goa is one of the few places in India where you can walk around as a foreigner and not receive weird looks from people. Hear people gossip about you, or have people try to take photos with you. This era is also important because it made Goa a well-known region across the globe. The hippie trail. Enter the 60s and 70s. The hippie movement was at its peak. During this time, there was a trek called the hippie trail. Basically, hippies from Europe and America would start in one of the major European cities like London or Paris, and they would trek, hitchhike, and ride cheap buses all the way to Asia. One of the major final destinations of this trip was Goa. During this time, many of these hippies came to Goa, and many of them ended up settling there for a long time also. These hippies played music, did drugs, and even swam naked on the beaches. In other words, these guys laid the foundation for the state to become an international tourism hotspot and kickstarted the party culture of Goa. Modern day. From the 90s onwards, tourism became one of Goa's main economic sectors, but the tourism industry and the type of tourists that visit Goa nowadays are different. Today, the majority of tourism Goa receives is domestic. Tourists, or at least the majority of them, don't come to Goa on spiritual journeys anymore. Some come to escape the noise of the city and relax on the beaches. Some come for the cheap alcohol and raves to party. Many millennials and Gen Z Indians also go to Goa because of the relatively progressive culture and mindset that allows them freedoms that the conservative environment dominant in most of the other parts of India does not allow. If you made it to the end of the video and you are now thinking of planning a Goa trip, remember that Goa is not only the party capital of India, but an important biodiversity hotspot too. Help preserve Goa's beauty by being environmentally conscious while traveling. Booking an eco-friendly stay, using public transport when possible, and eating at local dhabas are some of the things we can all do. See you around.